Scared of squares, terrified. It scared me. And I'm at a loss for words because I went into it thinking that it was going to be squares and just kind of another game that just kind of came and went through MetaQuest. And truthfully, nowadays, regardless of how well a game is built and what it offers, it's just difficult to penetrate that zeitgeist, to really land the infamy that something like Beat Saber or Pop 1 was able to do years ago. I think it's just, there's too much out there. But if Scared of Squares had come out 5 years ago, it would be, and it is in my opinion, a masterpiece. Like, it's that good. It's very impressive. I'm late getting to the game, I apologize, but if you haven't tried it yet, I do think you should. This video is going to be a rundown of what it's like, what the theme is throughout it. This episode is sponsored by VR Rock. Thank you very much to them. More from them in just a bit. Need this fantasy. Alright, so this is developed by a company called Siege Industries. If you have played this and you have thoughts on it, let me know down below. But coming into it for the first time today, I was blown away. And I need to elaborate on what I said about if this game had come out 5 years ago, it would be a masterpiece. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but it is a thing. I think that back in the day when something like Superhot came out with VR and Beat Saber was a phenomenon, I think that something like Robo Recall is fantastic. I think there's this attention to detail. I think it's this giant open world thing that just plays very well. But that did not burn itself into the zeitgeist. Why not? Maybe it required the leap from what was initially PC VR to MetaQuest standalone. Maybe that had something to do with it. But there are just some games that were a phenomenon. They were a hit 5-6 years ago, and they're in the top 10 list of anyone's game list, even like 12 years later in some cases. And I'm not entirely sure why that is. Part of me wants to say that it's because it's simplistic. Superhot was simplistic. It had one job to do and it did it well. Beat Saber is simplistic, but it doesn't stop it from being a challenging experience. And I do think that there's this thing where it is just so muddied, and it's not without fault from Meta, I think, because they let everyone, any Gorilla Tag clone, any flat screen mobile edition to Horizon Worlds, everything is welcome. And so you're inundated with so many bad experiences that when a good one comes along, you're finally, thank you. But that's it. Like, you play it and you have a good time. You might tell your friends about it. And then another game comes out 3 weeks later that like gets the same praise. Or maybe the entire year is just everyone going like, don't talk about that. I'm not listening because all I care about is Deadpool. Fine, I'm glad you enjoyed that game, but when's Deadpool coming out? And that sucks all of the energy out of the room. That's a problem too. But I say that to say that I think that this game deserves to be in that Hall of Fame. I think it's beautiful. It is cubes, it's squares, scared of squares, and it's these liminal spaces, not dissimilar from the backrooms or more clearly Pools VR, I think. Though Pools is more about photorealism and water physics and shaders. And this has some very cool textures, and the lighting is phenomenal, and the caverns that you explore are gargantuan, and it's cool. But Pools is this thing where you're just exploring. You're just having a good time hanging out, kind of some creepy atmosphere, find your way out of the maze. This has more of a purpose to it, to where you got to get to point A to point B, but along the way, you get the sense that the squares are conscious and aware of your presence, and they use that to some effect to kind of guide you through the maze. When these sentient squares kind of pop into view or are thrust at you from the dark and they come whipping by, the sound that is accompanied by that, plus where they are, where they come from, is an indication as to where you need to go a lot of the time. Just like I'm conscious and aware of the brilliant discounts and phenomenal products that VR Rock has to offer. Whether you're using the MetaQuest 3, Quest 2, or a variety of other headsets, or you're using X-Real Pro glasses, these guys make prescription lenses custom built for what you need they're low profile, and when it comes to the MetaQuest 3 and other VR headsets, they're applied using a variety of magnets around the edges, so that you install by clicking in one time a ring around the lenses that is unobtrusive, that's outside your field of view, and when you need to put on prescription lenses, you just drop them on and they snap on. Whereas I don't use glasses, but my wife does. I find it invaluable. We use them constantly, and funny enough, her prescription lenses, her actual glasses, they're a bit out of date, and she didn't know it until she got the VR Rock lenses, because those were perfect, and she has to go get new glasses now apparently because she didn't know until now. It's just in time for Christmas. If you know anyone who has landed a Quest 3 headset who wears glasses, they may not know that you can get prescription lenses that are easily installed, that are not permanent, so it can be shared with other people in the family. And best of all, that 10% discount that I mentioned. Use the link below, use the code BRINGHURSTVR, and save that money. Thank you again to VR Rock for sponsoring this episode, and back to it. But you're also being chased by squares. I'm going to show this. It's from the first level, but I thought it was very cool. And immediately, because I wasn't scared of squares before this, but I was scared of squares after this, because I knew that for all these giant paths that I was needing to meander through, they were so long and stretching that if this were to happen, looking around me, conscious that I don't want to get, I don't want to get smushed by a square, and the sound effects don't help. It's this first thing with this first cube that just kind of rolling towards you, and can you get there quick enough? And it's only there to tell you that, hey, this is a thing that could happen down the line, and you should be aware of your surroundings. So you have two floating hands, thank you, and the flashlight is realistic to where whatever you point at, especially your hand up close, the light will blow it out, which is a realistic phenomenon. The physics and the gravity are a bit elevated, I think, to where you're more on Mars gravity or something. It's not quite the moon, not quite the Earth, but it's elevated. And I'm not sure what to say outside of the fact that the cubes, the squares are sentient. You can feel eyes on you when you walk into a room, a cavern, a giant, just abyss of squares. And you would think that squares would be like low fidelity, low definition. What can you do with squares? But the artwork that went into this is impressive. Walking into a cavern and seeing just the scope of these rooms, these worlds that they've built, and knowing that it's not a mapped image, that it's not some distant 2D thing. It's really there. If you had the means to get there, you could walk there. It's all there in the MetaQuest 3. And I'm not entirely sure how they pulled it off, because it's not as if the resolution in this is wildly dumbed down. They use the cubes to great effect, and I just think it's a beautiful, phenomenal experience that doesn't try to be everything all at once. This is just a puzzler. You have a pointer on your right glove to where you'll come across cubes on the wall, squares that have gridding across them, and that signifies that they can be manipulated. You can point at it, pull a trigger, and it'll shift from light to dark. And you do that to solve puzzles and change the environment and create hallways that weren't there before. But oftentimes, you're doing it under panic and duress to where something's coming at you, something's moving, and you want to get this solved quick. And so it adds a level of tension that's appreciated. There's a lot of jump scares in this. There's a lot of pretty intense sound effects, but it all feels good. It feels like they set out to make this thing that is just, can you get from point A to point B? The world around you is being manipulated at all times. What's the larger story? I don't know, because I haven't beat this, but I'm enjoying it. I'm having a good time with it, and I hope that you guys will check it out. If you want it, you'll find it down below, 10% off using my link, or you could use the code BRINGHURST at checkout across like a bunch of games. I think that the atmosphere is phenomenal. I'm so happy that they didn't try to do 10 things at once. It's one or two things, and they really do it well. Now you can put your hands through the walls, and you know, I got stuck outside of the boundary a couple times. Fine, it's in beta, but you know, everything else is perfect. Everything else is just polished and well thought out, well designed, and intense. So I hope you'll check it out. Thank you to my members. You guys are amazing. And look at this. We're growing all the time. And you can become a member too by clicking right here and joining us. And in return, you'll get early access to videos just like this. And on occasion, we do marble runs as a way of saying thank you and giving back now and again. Be sure to check out VR Rock down below and save that 10% off. You'd be doing me a favor and tell them I sent you. Please subscribe, like this video, hit that notification bell. It would mean a lot to me. And you guys have been watching Bringhurst VR. Godspeed.